Good Tuesday evening, everybody. Welcome to my NFL Super Wildcard Weekend recap. I'm Mason Speski, your host. Today, this will be a quick show, that is for sure. We only have 5 games to talk about. Obviously, as you know, the Steelers lost yesterday. We talked about that on my Steeler Game Day post-game, so please check that one out if you have the time. I would greatly appreciate it, but we're going to make this one real quick. Again, it's only 5 games, so yeah, without further ado, here we go. Texans defeated the Browns 45-14 in Houston. This one came as a little bit of a shock to me because I was expecting Cleveland to win. Cleveland's just been dominant as of late, especially with Flacco. I can tell giving him that time off really hurt, just because, you know, he hadn't played in 16 days. He hadn't played last since December, I think it was 28th. They beat the Jets. And so, yeah, I think that hurt a lot too. The defense looked awful. This has been a top defense all year long. Absolutely was awful. Disappointing for sure. So, Cleveland, I mean, this team has talent. Jim Schwartz did a heck of a job with the defense, so good job by him. I think they need some more. I'm not even going to get into that because this really is just supposed to be a recap of the game. I'm sorry. So, we'll talk about that more on my off-season plan video, which will be out, as I've said, middle of end of February. So, keep an eye out for that, please. But Cleveland, they just didn't show up. Or they showed up, but they didn't really play hard. But Houston, give them credit. C.J. Stroud, he's amazing. D'Amico Ryan's probably the coach of the year. So, good job, Houston. Chiefs defeated the Dolphins in a game that was in terrible weather. Speaking of weather, we live in PA, as you probably all knew or know by now, Western Pennsylvania. It's like 16 degrees outside, and we got 3 inches of snow. All the local schools were canceled today, except for ours, or mine, because I'm in college. So, yeah, definitely was a rough commute, for sure. But got through it, and hopefully it'll be better soon. I looked ahead to the weather forecast. It looks like about a week from now, actually, it's going to be in the 40s. So, that's something to look forward to, that's for sure. Typically, I don't like weather below 60, but right now, 40. Next week, 40s are going to feel like 60s. I mean, even walking outside a building today, I felt warm a little bit, so, because it warmed up, so definitely it'll be interesting. It's supposed to be like at 4 a.m. 6 degrees outside. Can you believe that? I can't. Anyway, what I'm trying to get into is the fact that the Chiefs and Dolphins played in terrible weather conditions, below freezing, not good weather, as we all know, and this game was only on Peacock, and they had glitches, so I didn't watch it because we don't have Peacock here, but yeah. Chiefs ended up winning the game 26-7. Not a surprise. Kansas City just dominates at home, plus Miami's not used to the cold. Miami, it's again, like I just said, it's hard when you're in warm weather place like Miami and you have to go up to a cold weather place like Kansas City. But Kansas City did good. Give them credit. Give Andy Reid and Mahomes credit. So, good win for the Chiefs, and congrats to them. We'll see them in Buffalo next Sunday. Now on to the biggest upset of the week, probably the biggest upset in playoff history. It's the first 7 seeds ever beat a 2 seed. Congratulations to Coach Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers. They defeated the Dallas Cowboys 48-42. It's just plain and simple. Green Bay dominates Dallas at AT&T Stadium. This one, I know I picked Dallas, but this outcome does not come as a surprise to me at all. Really, none of this came as a surprise to me, except for the fact Houston tore up Cleveland. That's the only surprise. But Green Bay, I mean, Jordan Love's talented. He's been amazing as of late. The run game has finally came alive. Those receivers are amazing in Green Bay. They have something special brewing, that's for sure. Definitely dominated, and that's how you put up an offense. Good job to the Packers O-line for sure. Aaron Jones, 3 touchdowns. Great game for Green Bay. As for Dallas, it's bad. Dak Prescott didn't look good at all. This defense had a meltdown. That was the most shocking part. Not gonna lie, is how this defense totally melted down. I was shocked. Because typically the defense is like the strong point for Dallas. And it was just awful. We'll have to see what happens moving forward for this Dallas defense, that is for sure. So, yeah. Lions, big win for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, Brad Holmes and company all got the big win, 24-23, over the LA Rams. First Lions playoff win since 92. Congratulations to all of them up there. Amazing owner, Sula Ham. Once again, congratulations. They deserved it. Although there's a lot to talk about with this game, and I'm going to talk about this one probably more than any other because I've watched the entirety of this game for the most part, except for a couple minutes, because I'm a Lions fan too, as you all know, along with being a Steelers fan. So I watched almost all this game, followed it closely, but Detroit's secondary needs to be improved. There's no doubt about it. This secondary is awful, and they need reinforcements. They do have the talent there. They just need to maximize it, something that the Lions aren't doing good right now. Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn definitely needs to work on that this week as well. Their D-line's amazing. Their special teams, especially punter Jack Fox, which the Steelers had a punter like that, is amazing as well. The offense did look good too for the Lions, except they should have been more aggressive in the fourth quarter and third. They just couldn't get anything going, it seemed like, in the second half, and that's why they barely won this game, I feel like. So definitely something to think about, that's for sure. They have a tough task next week against a team we're about to talk about here in a couple minutes, but I'll save that till then. As for the Rams, Puka Nacua is the real deal. Great season to him. He had a big game, so good job by him. Stafford also looked good. Goff looked good. And this team has a lot of talent. It really does, and it was good to see this team in the playoffs again. However, just not meant to be. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Buccaneers defeated the Eagles 32-9. Again, it's easy to just sit here and discuss Philly's late season collapse, but you got to give credit to Tampa. This is basically the weakest division in football. Although it was better this year because the Saints were good too. But Tampa is something. They shredded that Philly defense. And keep in mind, this was a Philly team that beat them earlier this season. Like real early, but still. Tampa is talented. This definitely should not be a team the Lions take lightly. Baker Mayfield can be the real deal. Rachaad White. You've also got two amazing players in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And their defense stood up too. Todd Bowles masterclass. If this team stays all together, it can be something. They'll get a chance to prove it next week against the Detroit Lions. And as for the Philadelphia Eagles, wow. What a terrible collapse. That's all I have to say. This team looked like it was going to be something special the week prior to the 49ers game. After that, they didn't have it. And I don't know who the blame is on. I still think Sirianni is a very good coach. Took you to the Super Bowl. The guy's never had a losing season. Lost the wild card round 9-8. Made the Super Bowl with 14-3 record. Blowing the teams out. And this year was 10-1 before this collapse. Steelers haven't pulled the plug on Mike Tomlin. I can't see why the Eagles would pull the plug on Nick Sirianni. That would be almost disrespectful, if you ask me. It's hard, you know. And I mean, I'm not even an Eagles fan, but there has to be answers for a collapse like this late in the season. There does. There absolutely does. What those answers are, I don't know, because I don't need to know. But people in the organization do, and hopefully they know. And I'm sure they do. Because that was awful. That was awful. Once again, I'm not surprised by anything that happened this weekend, with the exception of the Cleveland-Houston game. I'm not surprised Green Bay won. I'm not surprised Tampa Bay won. I know I picked against them, but I could have easily picked them. I was thinking about it. So you know what? These teams, more so the Cleveland Browns than anybody, should feel embarrassed. I mean, the Browns definitely should feel embarrassed. More so than the Dallas Cowboys. And here is why. Real quick. The Browns played the Texans earlier this year, dominated them, had a quarterback playing well, and everything was going okay. And they swept the AFC South this year. Swept it. Including a 14-point win over the Texans Christmas Eve. The Cowboys never beat the Packers in AT&T Stadium and are known to choke in the playoffs. The Eagles were losing almost every game except for a Christmas Day luck fest against the Giants. Steelers, they were big underdogs too. They found a way to fight back. Credit to them. And Dolphins, I mean, it's a warm weather team going into a cold weather environment against the defending champions, who they lost to earlier this year in a neutral site. You can't really, say that it's terrible. So the Dolphins, you can't really make the case they embarrassed themselves. Rams, I'm sorry, I forgot you guys. Rams, no, they're leave with your heads high. Everybody, every single person except me, I didn't have them in the playoffs, so I had them better than most. But almost everybody said, this team is done. This team is rebuilding. It's going to be a long rebuild ahead. No playoffs. They came 1 point short of making the divisional round. So they should leave with their heads high. For sure. Dolphins, you're neutral. I mean, you expected to lose. You got what you expected. Steelers, credit to you guys for handling adversity and getting in. So good job there. Eagles, you collapsed late in the year. This kind of was expected. And there are questions with this team, and we'll talk about that more in my offseason plan video, but yeah. And Cowboys, you guys never beat the Packers at AT&T Stadium. And you're known for choking in the playoffs. So why should you feel embarrassed? You were a 2 seed, but you know how Mike McCarthy is. Cruise the regular season, hype train in the playoffs, collapse. The Cleveland Browns ultimately should feel the most embarrassed. They were favorites. They were hot. They thought they had it. This team was good. All this, all that, and they get embarrassed by a rookie quarterback. And don't get me wrong, CJ Stroud is great. I was wrong on him in the draft. I'm sorry, CJ. And DeMeco Ryans is the coach of the year. However, that score should have been much closer. The Texans looked like they were a Super Bowl contender. And if they beat Baltimore this week, look out. That's all I got to say there. And that's all I got to say for the show, too. Just heads up on the upcoming schedule. Friday afternoon, evening, I will have up my divisional round predictions. It'll be a brief video, that's for sure. Then, after that, we will be doing on Monday, it'll be our divisional recap, so definitely will be a good one for sure. AFC Championship, NFC Championship, that'll be up Friday as well. Monday, the recap, and then Super Bowl Friday, Mondays. That's the schedule we're sticking with the rest of the year. If your team has been eliminated and this is the last episode you plan on watching this year, thank you very much for a great season. I greatly appreciate your support this season, and I can't wait to do it back with you again next year. Hope you tune in for my off-season preview video and my draft stuff. Hopefully that's coming soon. But that's all I have for you guys today. If this is it for you, enjoy the off-season. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Pray for Israel. And as always, peace. See you Friday.